all of the video really explains the philosophy and the sort of background as to why we're doing what we're doing. One of the great things from my perspective when I met Lynn is that the values that he holds as an individual and he's ingrained into his business are very common to the values that I hold on a personal level as well. So what we've got here is a business that's built a sustainable platform purely because we talk the same language, we believe the same things. And this isn't about short-term profit, it's not about getting into the marketplace, raping it and moving on. This is about building a long-term sustainable activity for everybody involved and getting everybody involved in what we do. As a company, we're now formally established as a UK operation, so we now have a fully functioning company in the UK. We have all the business infrastructure around us that we're looking for. We've partnered with Flowbank Products in the short term. They're going to be our manufacturing partners and installation partners for the equipment. We've got all the IP and the licenses to operate the Canadian technology in the UK. And moreover, we've now started building that network of disciples to help us create the environment that is going to be encouraging to get these products out there. We've got some great customer interest in what we're doing already, and this is really fantastic. And I do have to say thank you to Nottingham City Council, Gail Scholes, Council Chapman and all the team, who have been very, very supportive about getting into this place. Hopefully we've got very quickly an order coming in through Nottingham City Council for a feasibility study to look at SHARC equipment as a support system for the district heating network. But moreover, we'll start to expand our network with the guys and start to look at how we can deploy this technology across the city and state. We are talking to Scottish Water and Scottish Borders College. It's not on the doorstep, I have to say, so Galashiels isn't the easiest trip for me to make, but having said that, they're very enthusiastic about wanting to buy into the technology. Boots PLC, very interested in using the equipment out on their site. It's very nice to see Phil, I think he's here somewhere, coming to sort of support what we're doing. And also on a more commercial level, Lend-Lease and Blue Water Shopping Centre, they've also made some expressions of interest about deploying the technology. So the interest is there. People are starting to grab hold of the fact that there is a waste product that nobody's thought about really for a long time that can be tapped into to create an energy source for buildings. And it is very, very efficient. It's very efficient and it generally drives some very good paybacks for customers when they deploy the equipment. One of the things we are facing a little bit of a challenge on is we put this product out there and a lot of people start to ask the question about renewable heat incentive and whether this equipment is eligible for a renewable heat incentive. That seems to become more of a badge from DEC to say that they've approved the technology, not necessarily it's not economics, it's just they tick the box. So we've spoken to Ofgem. Ofgem have looked at the process. They believe that the equipment is eligible for RHI. The challenge we've got though is we need to get a customer on board who will take us through a commissioning project before they can actually finally approve that. So we're looking for a customer who will share a bit of risk with us and get to a point where we can actually install a piece of equipment and get the DEC on board with the confirmation of renewable heat. And that then helps us enormously in getting the traction to the marketplace. But we're not just going to stick, the UK is a very important market to us, we're not going to just stick there. We do have ambitions to move across the EU, and this technology is deployable across a wide range of buildings, and the EU has got a very, very significant need for this kind of thinking, this kind of equipment. So we will be making some steps onto the EU platform over the short term. We have a visitor from Austria with us today who's very interested in supporting us on that agenda, so thank you, Danny, for making the effort to get over here. And then over the next 2 years, we will be building a more integrated manufacturing business that will hopefully create the jobs, create the wealth, create the development of a business that has got sustainability. I want to say thanks to a few people. Turning Point have helped us to establish the business. Turning Point is an accounting practice, a business that helps to set up organisations, supported by Shakespeare's and Acton's legal firms. V-Formation, who've helped us get to this place today. Gail Scholes, who you saw in our video, she's been very supportive. And so all of those people have really helped us to get where we are today. I just want to say thank you very much for that. And also CJR Midlands as an organisation, they've looked at this technology and they've helped us to validate the equipment to make sure that we're moving into the right space and moving that forward. So guys, I'm really appreciative for the support you've given me. Councillor Chan, thank you for your video. Lynn, Ian. Guys, thanks so much. And if there are any questions, we're happy to take some questions now. ask for a question that goes to still and silence. I just think I've done a great job in the presentation.
Your sales pitch is, big buildings, and any worker sort of take it. I talked to Gail earlier this morning. She says, well, actually, the most appropriate things for us will be places that, like swimming pools and the ice stadium. Right, because we've also got a prison, by the way. We do prisons, and we do hospitals in Nottingham. But what about the average building? Where does that fit in? So, we've got Loxley House, we've got several thousand people, a couple thousand people in there. How would that fit in compared with, say, the ice stadium?
We started with the technology we now got. The really great thing about the neighbours I'm really encouraged by is it leads to a very focused on R&D and taking that next step to find that new piece of equipment that's going to help us move forward. I know Lynn's already has invested in some R&D to actually look at how we can get this equipment to the right price so it can be deployed on a much wider platform of buildings. So we're hoping within the next 12 months we've got a new release of product that will fit a lot of the buildings that we're talking about. So we are going to widen that platform out.
We're also looking at exchange buildings in Nottingham at the moment.
Exchange buildings?
Yeah. So that is on the radar to do as part of the
My second question, sorry, I'll finish on. The second question is, what about the financing? We can borrow city council at reasonable rates. That's why I'm interested in doing it, because long-term rate returns going to be. If I'm a private sector developer, right, is there anything, or somebody from the private sector who's having to borrow at sort of 10, 15, I don't know, 16%, a ridiculous amount? Is there anything that can be done to ease the cost?
We are
make a rate of return rate.
We are in conversation with a number of lenders who've got an interest in the technology and they're prepared to lend at sensible rates. We're probably talking about between 4 and 6% to help us get the technology away. But they're in it for long term. It's not a short term. They're in this for the duration. So we've got those resources available. I have to say, primarily through the North American resources, not through the UK environment, but they're quite prepared to fund UK operations if we can provide the right kind of opportunities for them to get involved in. So financing is available, and it is an opportunity we can put to clients if they're interested.
I mean, just picking up on that point, we've been approached several times by the investment bank, who have lobbied us quite a number of times. So, and I know that they're really interested in sort of supporting all of the energy technologies, particularly when you start looking at large-scale projects. So, once you've got the RHI in place, then
that seems to be the catalyst for quite a lot of activity, RHI. So we are going to work hard to get that away. We're not quite sure how we'll take this. We are actually thinking about the cheapest way to get them involved is to get them over to Vancouver, so do some activities in Vancouver. But I'm not quite sure how they'll proceed. We'll see. Richard?
Are there any restrictions on water facilities?
That's a really leading question, Richard. I don't know the answer to this. There aren't, really, apart from the fact that the sewage companies or water companies will recognise the fact that there is a commodity that they can sell for value. And on the approach that we've made to some of the water authorities, the first question we've asked is how much would we get for you using our energy resource? Well, okay, it's a fair question. I'm not quite sure is the answer at the minute. So we have to go through that debate with the water companies and look at how they. But I think once they recognise the value of this to them, all of a sudden they could be our best salesmen in the marketplace. So we are particularly close to the water companies. Thank you for that.
Can I just add to that you don't have to break into the sewer though. If you capture the waste before it goes into the sewer and then discharge it to the water authority, they have no interest because you're delivering that waste to them anyway. So if you chamber it, capture it, intercept it, use the heat out of it and then put it to sewer, then the water authority is not involved.
Which is why on big campuses like hospitals, universities, you can influence the infrastructure and capture that waste before it actually discharges to the main sewer. So in those environments, you can actually control the whole energy flow that's coming through. Richard?
Can you put some numbers on the coefficient of performance of sewage recovery systems compared to ground source?
Yeah.
And at the same time, what's the level of capital expenditure you need between those two alternatives?
Okay, great question, thank you. The COPs on the systems run around about between 4 and 5. The benefit we've got, because the sewer flows throughout the world, I'm an expert at sewers, it's brilliant. They run at around about 20 degrees C. Now that input of temperature to a heat pump is much higher than a ground source or even a water source heat pump, and therefore you can get the heat pumps to work more efficiently. So the fact we've got a high temperature going in means that we are driving out the whole system at a much higher level of COP. So they run around between 4 and 5, and we have had situations where we run at 6. In terms of capital, it depends is the answer. It depends on what the we've got a range of equipment that goes from a 1 megawatt unit right down to a 400 kilowatt unit. So there's a different range of sizes across that, and they cost they're slightly different. And also the building demand drives slight differences on the price. But for the 600 kilowatt installation, we're looking at around about £300,000 to £400,000 as a cost-ish. But we're trying very hard not to sell on the price. It's more on the value of this equipment generates. So these systems will run for at least 20 years, and they will drive a 5 to 6 year payback. So you get the equipment payback quite quickly, but then you've got the benefit of free energy for a fairly long period of time. One of the things that we have started to do, and this is something the Canadians have recognised, is there is a hybrid system of ground source energy combined with sewage heat recovery, which in comparison to a ground source system is at least 30% more capital efficient, so it's cheaper to install, but in terms of energy production, it's 20% more productive than the ground source system itself. So there is a hybrid solution that we are working on that hopefully we can release to market over the next 6 months or so that will compete very nicely with ground source energy as an isolated system. So as you wait back there.
Yeah, you answered my question. I was going to ask about the payback.
Okay. We tend to, I mean, I have to be quite careful. It's very subjective to individual buildings, so it's about how much demand they have for energy consumption and how much sewage they produce to create the energy in the first place. But those 6 year paybacks are not an unusual period. Richard again.
Can we use these systems to dump heat as well as generators?
You can transmit heat. I mean, heat transfers across temperature differences, so hot, cold. The easy way to transfer heat is to take it from a hot place to a cold place, so it naturally migrates in that direction anyway.
So I can use it to replace air conditioning in the sewer?
Yes. Yeah, we can use it from a cooling perspective as well as a heating perspective, so we can take surplus heat out of the building and use the sewage system as a basis for cooling as well, and that's also very efficient. Please. Guys, look, I'm really grateful for your attendance. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. Do the water authorities have any view on the fact that effectively you could be taking energy out of their sewage airfall and effectively lowering the temperature airfall? Are there any implications on the sewage systems at all?
To be honest, for us to significantly change the sewage flows to sewage treatment plants, we would have to deploy a huge number of SHARC systems, and that'd be fantastic to have that conversation with the water companies then. Because that means we've been very successful in getting our business away. But the reality is the water companies are quite keen to reduce the temperature at the treatment plant, because the higher the temperature, the more it affects the microorganisms at the treatment plant. So there's no real conflict between what we're doing and what the water companies need. So we're not taking anything out apart from a bit of surplus heat that sits in that system and converting that to buildings. But once the stuff that we take out and the heat we take out goes back to drain, it will blend with the flows that go through there anyway, and it won't make a material difference to the temperature flows that hit the sewage treatment plants. Right, guys, I'm so grateful for your support. It's been brilliant to have you here. I want to thank everybody who's participated this morning and giving us the time to get this business away. And I look forward to talking to you on an individual basis about how we can help you and how you can help us in taking this business forward. So thanks ever so much. It's been brilliant. Thank you.